My name is CJ Leede, and join me this week on One Final Twist.
Today on One Final Twist, we are joined by best-selling author CJ Leede. Her new book, Headlights, is available June the 9th from Tor Books or Tor Nightfire. Welcome, CJ.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Tell us about Headlights.
Yeah. So Headlights is my third novel. It's a Colorado book. People are waking up on the side of the highway and they've got no memory of how they got there. They're many miles from where they last remember being, and they're naked except they're wearing the skin of someone they've allegedly never met over their shoulders, and they've got a human hair tied around their tongues.
Mm.
And the very tortured special agent who was assigned to the case before now has to come back to Denver, which is a place he'd never wanted to return to. And he's got to solve the case before more people die and maybe more people very close to him.
What drew you to Colorado this time?
Uh, my project, the way I see it, is kind of trying to catalog this country, place by place, bit by bit, and I got to pick up my pace to get to 50. But I live on the road and I've spent time in every state, and Colorado is a place where I have a lot of extended family, so I grew up going there like 4 times a year. And this book is very much about the unknown of death. And um, there's something about Colorado's landscape, being quite a beautiful place, but also it can be very cold, literally. And the mountains can be, they're lovely. They can also, they're formidable, and they're looming. And there's something about the landscape of Colorado being this Wild West, being wide open, having these, massive mountains, this massive swath of land, which is the end of the Great Plains, and that kind of reflecting to me the feeling of like trying to navigate this question of like, what is death and what is life? And it's also scary, but it's also so beautiful, you know?
So did you choose horror or did horror choose you?
Horror chose me.
Did it?
Afraid of everything. Yeah, I write stories and then people tell me they're horror stories. So here we are.
I got you. A lot of the horror is out there today is campy. I like campy. I grew up in the 80s with the Freddy and Jason
Yep.
and all of that, but yours is not campy. It is some religion is part of yours. What what made you want to bring religion into your stories?
Growing up religious. Well, and American Rapture was the big one, obviously, with
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Uh, you know, I think for me, the way like Maeve and American Rapture were books where I was angry about things, or I felt like there were things that were in my life that were difficult, but it was a lot of sort of like active big emotions that I got out in those
Yeah.
books. And religion was some of that for me, or at least certain things associated with certain religions and certain religious folks. And this third book, it was almost like I screamed into the night for 2 books. And then suddenly I was like, well, what am I left with? And I was like, oh, I'm sad. That's what all this has been. I just feel sad. And so I think that my first 2 books said, it's not this, it's not this. And my third book said, so what is it? It being whatever makes all this stuff bearable and beautiful and hopeful, kind of.
Yeah. Have one of your fellow Tor Nightfire authors, Bethany Morrow,
Yeah.
The Body. Have you read The Body by chance?
Not yet, but
Okay.
I own it. It's the most beautiful cover, and everybody says it's amazing.
It is, and I interviewed her, and we had a discussion about off camera about religion. Um, but it was so fun. But I think you would really get a kick out of her book too.
Oh,
It's something else, I'll tell you. When people read your books, what do you hope that they'll take away?
I think my hope with any of my books is that, I mean, every author hopes that your work changes people, right?
Mhm.
And I think sometimes it is taking something new from the book and taking it with you as you move forward in your life. And some of them, maybe it's me saying like, hey, you don't have to actually carry something you've been carrying this whole time.
Yeah.
But all of my books have a real love of Americana and of the road and of human experience. Like they're all about relationships and feeling everything. I want people to come to my books and feel devastated and disgusted and turned on, and I want them to laugh and cry. And, like I want to offer like a full experience every time.
You have very strong women in
Yeah.
your books. Um, where do you draw that inspiration? Where do you get your ideas for your strong females?
Well, I am very lucky to have really strong women in my life. But to be honest, I haven't met many women who weren't really strong. I think if anything, maybe people who have forgotten that they are because of, society, or people in their lives, and that's a tragedy. But I think women are amazing with what we endure all the time.
Exactly.
And I think, I mean, literally, some of them are bringing forth new life. Like it's crazy. It's crazy what women do. But also just, putting up with things that nobody should have to put up with. And
Yes.
um, yeah, so this third book, I did not have a female protagonist, but I did have a female character I really loved, and I'm glad she's there. And I don't know, she's one of my favorites.
Yeah. Uh, I read too that you enjoy hiking, and
Mhm.
there's some hiking in headlights. Have you ever had an experience like in headlights that in real life when you've been out hiking?
Thankfully, no. No, I have not. That would be terrible. I might have to stop hiking. Yeah, I think there is so much fear. I mean, we were just talking about, being a woman in this world. There's fear around, especially like being a woman solo hiking or getting out into the woods is scary. Like you don't know what is there at any given time. But I think the wild is amazing and it's everywhere. And um, these land resources are here for us in America, hopefully for a very long time. And I think they're part of what make our place really spectacular. And so it was fun to like finally get to write a book that actually incorporated more of my love of nature.
In headlights, you talk a lot about music, and there's a lot of you throw around a lot of names in as far as artists and stuff. Have you ever created a playlist or anything that would be a companion to
Yeah.
headlights?
I've got playlists for all three books
Okay.
on folks can go to my Instagram, like there's like a link tree in my
Mhm.
bio, and I've got all those there. And I've got a new website in the works too. So they'll be on the book pages for each site. But
Okay.
yeah, that's a big part of my process is like usually I'll make a playlist right at the very beginning of working
Okay.
on a book.
All right. Because there's some heavy hitters
Yeah.
in that, plus a lot of John Denver. I don't want to give too much away, but there's a lot of John Denver in this book. Um, the what as I mean, you're very successful and you're a female. That's two great things. What does success mean to you as a writer?
I think it's always easy to give yourself another hurdle or milestone, right? Like, oh, it's like, hit the USA Today list, but like would love to hit the New York Times list or whatever. But I think realistically for me, success is like I get to walk into indie bookstores and, some or a lot of the time my books are there. And that is like kid me would lose her mind. Like I didn't even that has never gotten less cool to me in this whole process, just seeing it in bookstores, in libraries, and knowing that it's just out there among all my favorite books, because I'm a reader and I grew up a reader and books were like my friends as a kid.
Mhm.
So it's I think that's it. I just think having books in the world, that's the success.
Yeah. Is there any advice you could give to aspiring writers?
Like I always say just don't stop. I mean, I was sending books out for 7 years before I sold one, and I had to write three before I sold one. And I really thought when I wrote Maeve, I was like, oh, no one's ever gonna publish anything of mine, and I'm just doing this because I love it. And that's all I can do, I guess. And then it did happen, and even 7 years is sometimes a pretty quick timeline in book
Yeah.
world. So I
Mhm.
would say just don't stop because it's so worth it. And I know so many people who have this story of like it took so long and they felt like it was never going to happen. And then because they kept going, it happened.
Yeah.
And then, even if the book you think is the only book you have in you and is everything to you, it may not be your first book out, and that's okay too. And it might just come out later. I wrote Maeve Fly after American Rapture, so.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting. And two, you talk about, keep writing and whatever. And one of your, I know you're a fan. He's in this book. Is Stephen King. He threw away Carrie.
Yeah.
And Tabby, his wife, got it out of the trash and said, "No, we're gonna do this." And you know, ever how many hundreds of books later, he's Stephen King.
Crazy.
Yes. Um, who are some of your influences when you were growing up? Did you read horror? Or did you just kind of gradually get into horror?
I got into horror late, like in my 20s. When I was growing up, I read so much sci-fi, fantasy, YA, all of those. And then also just, novels. Especially loved survival books like that they would give us in school, Hatchet and
Mhm.
the Island of Blue Dolphin. Like those were probably my favorite books.
Yeah,
Clan of the Cave Bear was a favorite growing up. The Hobbit,
yeah.
I mean, there's so many good ones.
While you've done, every author has to do a certain amount of research, whether you do nonfiction, fiction, or whatever. Has there ever been a bit of research that was just like a total shock and surprise to you?
Like, I would say like over half of it. I mean, it's crazy because I think the more you dig into anything, you're like, what? There's
Mhm.
always more to learn. Um, yeah, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I mean, I never watched sports before, and in Mayfly, I got really into hockey because
Mhm.
that became a big part of the book. And then what surprised me the most is that I liked it. And so I actually became kind of a big LA Kings hockey fan for a little bit. Um, with American Rapture, like sometimes I'll pick a setting and I'll think, oh, okay, I know exactly what that building looks like. There was a hotel that I thought would be a wooden hotel. I don't know why I thought that, primarily wood, which mattered logistically in the book. I get there and it's stone, and this is a spoiler. Everybody can skip the next 10 seconds if you haven't read American Rapture, but I was like, how do you burn a stone building in my book? So suddenly I've like got to figure that out. So those little things end up kind of being big things that maybe readers don't care about, but I try to do as much as I can.
Yeah. Well, now that you've mentioned American Rapture, go ahead and tell us about it. It was your next to last book.
Yeah, American Rapture follows a very sheltered Catholic Midwestern teen girl who starts to come into her sort of like beginning sexual awakening at the same time as America explodes with this like violent, sexually propagating viral epidemic. And she has to cross the state of Wisconsin in order to like find her family and like stay alive and grapple with like religious trauma and shame and guilt and all of the fun things.
Go ahead and while we're talking about some of your previous works, tell us about Maeve Fly.
Maeve Fly Maeve is an amusement park princess by day, and by night she gets up to some darker, more nefarious activities. And she has a life she loves on the Sunset Strip in Los Angeles. And things start to change and spin away from her. And she's a bit of an odd duck. And in order to cope with this change, she turns to some of her literary misanthropic heroes like Patrick Bateman and the Underground Man and George Bataille's Story of the Eye narrator and starts to emulate them.
Uh,
And it's like a Halloween slashery crazy LA book.
uh,
So they're all different, but they're all very like Americana. They're all very much interrogating place and sort of what there is to be gleaned from looking closely at place and
yeah,
what there is to be celebrated there or not, you know.
yeah. Uh, Broken Binding did a version. I've got it right there. I'm a big fan of their books. Are there any plans to do American Rapture? Do you know of, or is that something that you don't have anything
So
to do
to
with?
do headlights with broken binding?
Yeah, headlights. Yeah.
Yeah, because that American Rapture is the prettiest,
Oh, it
like
is. It's
it's a
gorgeous.
work of art. It's crazy. And those end pages, and they sent me one and I was like, what? Yeah, it's crazy.
It's awesome.
I'm not I don't know what I can say.
Oh, well, if you can't, that's fine.
I don't think Broken Binding wants to do anything, but I think there could be others.
Okay.
There might be others to be on the lookout for,
Okay, good.
which I'm very excited about if
Good.
hypothetically that happened.
Yes, that's good. Also, have any of your works been optioned? Do you have anything like for streaming or feature films?
I did have May Fly was optioned for a while, but the option got reverted and we're now taking it back out. And
Okay.
so yeah, nothing right now.
Okay.
But we'll see what happens.
Because I could really see American Rapture being a like a 6 episode event. It would be really good.
That'd be
Um,
awesome.
was do you when you write your books, are you a plotter or do you go by just the seat of your pants and just go?
I plot, and in fact, my favorite part of writing is the very initial part when I make the playlist. Usually, I'll make a Pinterest board, like I'll do like a bunch of
Uh,
images. And this is like by the time I sit down and do this, I've already got kind of an idea, probably some characters in my head that just kind of float for a bit, and
mhm.
then a place setting.
Yeah.
And I like to sit down and just plot the whole thing out, and that's my favorite part.
Yeah.
And then I start writing, but then I end up redoing everything like 10 times.
When you come up with an idea, um, do you know the ending? Is that something that you have to work towards? You know how you want the story to end, and then is that something?
I almost always know the ending when I start writing the book.
Yeah,
With Maeve Fly, the very beginning, like 2 pages and the last 2 pages basically didn't change throughout the whole process. American Rapture, the location of the ending changed, but the very ending kind of stayed the same. And Headlights, yeah, I always kind of knew the final image and the final few lines.
yeah,
But sometimes it surprises you how you get there. Or you'll
yeah.
write it and then your editor will be like, this isn't like big enough. Let's take it over here instead. Like, let's get it in this location instead. So it's cool.
Speaking of editing, has there been a scene or a character or a storyline that you put in, but your editor said it needs this whole thing needs to go away?
Probably. Yes. Yes. In headlights, I had a different headlights changed a lot. I had a different twist
Uh,
early on, and I had different prominent sort of secondary characters. And my editor looked at it and she was like, I think these two characters are the most interesting from these sort of second tier ones.
yeah.
And these two that you have brought forward, she's like, I don't think those need to be forward. They can go. They can be little red herrings. And so it was like a fun, we shuffled a lot and the twist changed and the one of the antagonists changed in the
Uh,
course of writing the book, which was pretty cool. And there was one scene in American Rapture when it was the only time it's ever happened in all three of my books where she said, I think we have to cut these two lines. I think it went a little too far. Like it was the only, she never tells me to pull back, but there was one American Rapture moment on the highway
uh-huh.
that she was like, we gotta, it's too much. We gotta
I can
make it imagine.
I can imagine which scene she's talking about on the highway.
Yeah. Yeah. So, which I'm glad. I think she was right. And it's sometimes hard to gauge when you're alone with your Word document, what is going to
Yeah,
be too much or not enough.
yeah.
So, but the rest of the time she's like, let's do more, let's do more. You know,
Because there's
let's go
and
farther.
I'm not going to give too much away, but there's a scene in Headlights that's pretty out there. So it was
Yeah, I didn't have to cut anything.
oh
It was 20 pages to begin with and it stayed 20 pages in the end. If it's
yeah.
the one I'm thinking of, yeah.
Yeah, we could after we turn the recording off, we can talk about it. Uh, I noticed too, you're friends with Chuck Tingle and Rachel Harrison. I'm a big fan of both of their books also. And you actually narrated one of Tingle's books. How was that?
It was really fun. They gave me, I was excited about the role I got to play. This was in Bury Your Gaze, and
Uh,
he got a bunch of authors to do, different parts.
mm,
And I was excited about my part I was assigned. And I did two like pretty normal readings, and then I did one really weird reading. And that's the one they chose. So it was fun. It was crazy.
and I did notice on one of your social media posts, I think it maybe was last summer, you said when you turned in the I guess it was your final draft of Headlights, that this was the hardest book you've ever written. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, this book was really like 400 pages of me trying to reckon with death and grief and trying to find light in the dark,
Yeah,
we, I'd faced a lot of loss and I was really struggling with it. Like really this understanding that, and not to go too dark for a minute, but
yeah,
this understanding suddenly, I'm 34. You look around and you're like, oh, so everyone I know is gonna die, and so am I, and we don't know in what order. Yeah,
yeah,
but it's gonna happen. And so,
mhm,
someone's always mourning somebody in this
yeah,
life, and that's part of this life. And so I was really struggling with it, and the book took about 4.5 years. And it also, I had some, I had some negative voices in terms of the book. Like there were a couple people who weren't sure that this was the right book to do, and I really had to fight for it. And so it was an interesting, both of those things happening at once. But writing this book changed me. Like I never want to sound like, you know, um, like self-aggrandizing or something. It's not. I mean, or
yeah,
you are self-involved if you sit and write a book for, for
yeah,
4 years, sit with your own imagination, and think the world wants to hear it. But I do think writing this book like took me somewhere that really changed my relationship to death and to life in a way that has really given me a lot of hope. And I kind of view my job as a horror writer as kind of like for some reason, I can't not look at this difficult stuff that we live with all day long, every day.
Yes, yes,
And other people may not want to, which is probably more normal and healthier. And maybe my job is to kind of just like, wander, stumble around in the dark and try and see what light I can sort of find and bring back and give that to my readers. And maybe it resonates or maybe it doesn't. But this book made me feel okay,
yeah,
ultimately. But it was like, it was a journey to get there.
yeah. I can see that. And then in the book, I mean, I truly enjoyed it. And I just finished it last night, but it was heavy, but
Yeah.
it was very enjoyable. It was very eye-opening, I guess you could say that. I mean, I know that was part of your overall objective is to shed light to the main some of the main themes at the end of the book. I don't want to give too much away,
Yeah.
but it was very enlightening. I did very much enjoy
You.
it. Um, let's see, what are you reading right now?
I just finished reading Rachel's new
Did
book,
you?
Kiss Play Play. It's so good. And actually Chuck's new book, Fabulous Bodies. These books are unbelievable.
Yeah, his
They're
books
so
are.
good.
I have
Yeah,
I've got Rachel's. I haven't got his yet, but
you're gonna love
I
it.
got an e-copy of Rachel's. She's so fun. I've met her a couple of times, and you gave her a big nod at the end of your book in the acknowledgments.
Yeah.
She's such a sweetheart.
Yeah.
Every time I've met her, she has been super cool. What's next in the world of CJ Leede as far as books?
I've got a New York City book coming next,
Ah,
and uh, and then I'm doing something a little different. That's my fourth book, and then my fifth book, I'm doing. It's another big kind of road trip one, but it's going to be. I'm not going to say yet, but it's a little different, and it's
mm,
definitely America still, but it's going
yeah.
to be. I branch out a little in this one, but the New York book is going to be like art world. I did medieval studies in school, and I'm
Oh,
incorporating some of that. And I lived in New York City for a long time, so it'll be fun.
awesome. Is there an author out there that you would like to co-write with?
Oh my gosh, I hadn't really thought about it. Any of my friends, any
Yeah.
of my friends. Yeah, I would write with any of them.
You don't want to name names because you don't want to make anybody mad. I understand.
No, if they start, then I'm gonna be like, no shit, I should have said this person. And then I forgot this person. I can't even.
Uh, and
Everyone.
the kind of friends that you have, you don't want them to write your name as a character and then kill you off in their book. That's
I'd
like
be honored. I'd be honored.
oh
Especially like those two books we were just talking about, Rachel and Chuck's newest, like those are wild. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but like they
yeah.
they really they show the full breadth of kind of like what horror authors can do with imagination, and it's so amazing.
Yeah, we've gotten some really good horror books here lately. There's just been a whole lot. Are you going to be on tour with Headlights?
Yes, I've
Okay.
got a pretty big little chunk of events coming up.
Okay.
Starting, I've got PGH Book Fest on the 30th, and then Stoker Con after that, and then I've got a full tour starting on June 8th.
If people want to connect with you on social media, what are your handles and what channels are you on?
I'm on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads, and it's Siege the Moment for all three of those.
All right. And are there any places, is there a bookstore, a indie store that will carry your books that people can order directly from them?
Yeah, so eh, yes. I would say go to any indie bookstore that you love or use bookshop.org. But all of my tour event stops, you can pre-order through any of them. And the Twisted Spine in Brooklyn is actually doing like a custom, or how do they call it? Like personalized pre-order campaign. So
Okay.
if you write to them and say, you want the book to say to whatever, and I can even write a little note if you want, they're going to compile all that and then they'll ship them out to whoever wants them.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Any is there anything that I haven't asked that you want to talk about in your book?
I don't think so. Thank you for having me. I know your bookshelf looks like that all the time with those three books facing
Yeah,
out.
it does. I've got, and then, I have one above my head, and at night, so my wife and I can see it. So, oh,
That's what you want to look at.
oh, me.
Thank
Um,
you so much.
yes. Thank you, Miss CJ Leede. Her newest book, Headlights, is available June the 9th from Toward Night Fire Publishing. You can pre-order it from Twisted Spine in New York. They will do a customization for it. She'll sign them. They'll ship them out. You can order them from there. And I will have her tour dates posted on this podcast. Thank you again for joining me, and we will talk to you all later.